SP camera calibration. In this series of videos, we are going to be exploring how SP handles camera calibration. With any camera calibration, there are two main parts to the process. The first part is the lens calibration, the second is the tracking calibration. The lens calibration is to create a lens profile for the lens and camera body combination. This profile holds the information about all the lens intrinsics, like the field of view, distortion, center shifts, and nodal offsets. The tracking calibration is to reorientate the incoming tracking coordinates into a desired orientation. This process generates an alignment profile that encapsulates translational and rotational offsets, as well as any scaling factor to the incoming tracking data. In this example, we have a tracking system that is providing us encoder values for the zoom and focus, and we are inside a studio with a curved LED wall. Within our SP project, we have already created a camera and linked it to the tracking system. We've also created a multi-screen object that will be used to represent the curved LED wall. However, as you can see within the project, the LED wall is currently flat. And lastly, but by no means least, we have the SDI feed coming in from a camera via the media input. The first calibration tool that we are looking at is the lens and tracking calibration, which does, as the name suggests, both lens calibration and tracking calibration together. Press the capture button here and immediately we see the camera view is visible here. Also, we can see that the markers are detecting by when SP can see the different colour boxes with the ID number overlaid on the top of the markers. For this process to work, we need to move the camera to some different locations. So if we move the camera in the tracking volume to the right and then pan it to the left. Before we start doing anything, we need to make sure the camera is completely fixed. As this camera is on a jib, we need to make sure it's still and not shaking. When this is done, we click on Capture. Now we've done the first capture, we can move the camera to a different location. So let's move it to the completely opposite side. When the camera is stable, let's do another capture. Next, we'll move the camera to the central position, lower the camera's position and tilt it up. Then capture again. Once more, we'll move it now to a higher location and tilt it down. You can see here that the system doesn't have any problems with the reflections. In a perfect world, this would be enough here to work with, but we will take another just to be sure and prove everything. So this one will have a full view of the stage. Let's take another capture here. Now technically we have all the positions and rotations covered. So we have moved the camera to the left, the right, forwards, backwards, up and down, as well as including pan and tilt ranges to create our captures. Next we click on this play button and the system will calibrate itself. Once done, you can see the curved wall has been generated and the camera is in position. For a good result like this, the calibration has sub-pixel accuracy. We can prove this result is working correctly. Go to the camera here, right-click and open the distortion viewer. In here we get a representation of the view of the camera and we can then overlay live inputs into it. Then we can compare the results of the real camera and the virtual one. This looks pretty good. We don't see any shifting and all the panels seem to be in the correct location. Let's have a look at what happens if we move the camera around. So let's move it closer. And again, the virtual world and the real world look like they're matching really well. If we look in the viewport, you can now see the camera is correct relative to the LED wall, but our pivot and world orientation might not be correct. We'll show you how to deal with this in the next video.